Hello and welcome back to the Data Privacy Lawyer. Today's review, we're going to be looking at a cookie notice. This particular cookie policy was last updated January 11, 2024. I was not presented with a cookie banner. However, there is a button here to manage my consent. So that's so interesting, right? This pop-up should appear immediately as I enter the site. Now, I will give some nuance to this. I am accessing this site in the United States. So the user experience for a European Union resident may be different to what I just reviewed, okay? I want us to look very carefully today about this banner, and I want us to look at what the cookie policy states, okay? The first thing I'm going to call out is our website uses cookies to improve functionality and performance. So what the Plaza is really basically saying is that these are the only uses for cookies, functionality and performance. That is my expectation when I review the cookie policy. We're actually going to scroll down. Okay, good. So they actually talk about the cookies here, functional cookies and performance. So it is accurate, right? I think what's unique is that we use Google Analytics, a web analytics service provided by Google. Google Analytics helps us analyze how users interact with the site and services, report on your activity, and provide other services related to their activity and usage. Now, I'm very intrigued about this because if this doesn't constitute functionality and performance, there needs to be an alignment with the cookie banner here and how Google Analytics is used by the website. So let's get back to the banner. The banner should have been presented as I entered the site. However, in the United States, the data protection laws currently state that consumers, such as myself, have the opportunity to opt out of cookies being utilized as they interact with the site, meaning that I don't have to be presented with this banner. However, I need to be presented with the opportunity to opt out of these cookies, functionality and performance. So I'm actually going to adjust my privacy preferences. I've just clicked this link. And then we can see here, now this is very interesting, right? This is very, very interesting. So on the previous page, we were told that the website collects cookies as it pertains to functionality and performance, correct? We've got functionality, right? That's always active. But then we've got statistics, which is interesting. Now I'm actually going to read it. The technical storage or access that is used exclusively for statistical purposes. Now I'm intrigued. Does statistical purposes cover performance? Maybe it does, but I'm going to opt out of it anyway. Now we've also got here the sale or sharing of your personal information, and then we've got marketing, right? And I wonder if this associates with cookies. Now we weren't presented with this on the previous cookie policy, which we're going to go back to. And essentially there needs to be alignment with your preference center, the cookie banner, and the cookie policy. All three documents must align to make sure that you are accurately representing how cookies are used on your website. We can see marketing here, but we did not see marketing when we were on the cookie policy. So that's an update that must be made. The technical storage or access is required to create user profiles to send advertising or track the user on a website or across several websites for similar marketing purposes. Now this was not on the cookie banner. So that needs to be updated. And the interesting thing is for the statistics and marketing, I was opted in. Now, again, the United States allows for opting out, which I'm going to do for both. Whatever the case may be, that cookie policy must address that marketing is taking place, particularly if it pertains to cookies. Now, I'm not sure of that for a fact. I will say it's good that we've got the sale or sharing of personal information here. This is an obligation under certain data protection laws in the United States. And we weren't opted into that. Again, we can see to opt out. This is the obligation that companies have in the United States. If the Plaza New York is processing personal data in the European Union, then the obligation is to provide consumers the opportunity to opt in. And I think that on my channel, I'm going to start using a VPN to see what the process flow is for European Union residents, because I think it would be interesting to do a review, a compare and contrast, to see if the presentation I receive when I log onto companies' websites from the United States is the same for European Union residents. So I might actually do a series on the channel about that. Essentially, I wanted us to see the privacy choices. Marketing wasn't addressed, right? This is very problematic. Let's go back to the cookie policy itself. Okay, good. So it's interesting here. We've got Adobe Fonts, Instagram, Google AdSense. The following cookies are cookies used on our website, but the cookie banner didn't mention marketing or tracking, right? Let's go back to it. Our website uses cookies to improve functionality and performance, okay? But here we can see marketing and tracking, right? This does not align. So that's problematic because consumers are not being presented with the appropriate notice. And this was last updated January 11, 2024. One recommendation I generally have for organizations is every time you update your cookie policy or notice, generally this is considered a cookie notice, make sure that you're doing it at least on an annual basis. This is going on almost 2 years at this point because we're in December of 2025. If you are going to make a representation that you're only using cookies to improve functionality and performance, you can't then go ahead and use it for marketing and tracking. If you're going to do this, you need to make sure that you put the appropriate information in your banner, you put the appropriate information in adjusting your privacy preferences, and you update your cookie policy. Because right now we're only told functional and performance, but here we've got marketing and tracking. Okay. Let's actually read it. Cookies are small text or files of letters and numbers that a website may place or store on your computer or mobile device when you visit a site. When navigating on the Plaza Hotel's website, cookies may be placed on your computer or mobile device. You have the right to reconsider, right? Guess we got a typo. You have the right to reconsider your decision at any time. Now, reconsider is lightly putting it. Data protection laws require the opportunity to withdraw your consent at any time, right? Withdraw and reconsider a bit different. I would say that withdraw is more, reconsider is like, oh, think about it. Withdraw is an explicit command. You can withdraw your consent at any time. I would review the language on this cookie policy to ensure that the obligations you have under the data protection law, which is to allow consumers to withdraw at any time, is displayed essentially as it's read in the law. Okay. So we got the types of cookies, fine. More information as to how, functional cookies. These cookies help us to personalize the service to you by remembering your preferences and settings. These cookies help us make sure that the website is working properly and fix any errors. Neither of these definitions cover the marketing and tracking that's happening here. For Instagram, Adobe, or Google AdSense, we use Instagram for display of recent social posts and or social share buttons. That's not displayed here, so this needs to be updated. How can I control or delete cookies? In relation to our website, most browsers are initially set up to automatically accept cookies that are placed on your computer or mobile device when you use websites. You can change the settings on your browser to block cookies or to alert you when cookies are being set, etc., etc. Now, this is quite a short cookie notice. I'm intrigued about a couple of things. The Plaza, New York, it seems like it is headquartered in New York. That being said, I'm 100% sure that they process the personal data of individuals outside of the United States. Now, what does this mean from a data protection standpoint? The thresholds that are supposed to be met in other geographies are influenced by the residents of those countries and jurisdictions. Meaning, just because you as a company are headquartered in a specific geographical location does not mean that the legislation in that geography are the only legislation that you have obligations under based on the personal data you process. Now, if a UK resident decides to book a room or suite and they provide their information to the Plaza has obligations under UK privacy legislation to ensure that the experience that a user has on their site reflects their obligations under the data protection laws in the UK. As it currently stands, this doesn't even comply with US privacy legislation when it comes to transparency, because as it currently stands, we're only seeing functionality and performance, but we can see below that marketing and tracking is going on. And in addition to that, if it is in fact that European Union residents are providing their data to the Plaza, that's not reflected in this cookie policy nor the data flow that I experienced as I logged onto the site. So there's definitely a lot of room for updates. And one of the reasons I do these reviews is because I want to see what other companies are doing when it comes to privacy compliance. One of the things that is kind of difficult, I will say, for companies to understand is definitely their obligations are generally extraterritorial. A hotel like the Plaza is definitely processing personal data globally. And this process flow for understanding how cookies are utilized by the Plaza definitely doesn't comply. Outside of the United States, where it seems like the Plaza is headquartered, but I may be mistaken. There's many details that are missing when I do these reviews. So if you're a company and you're looking to get your cookie compliance right, take a look at the description below and I will see you in another review.